Guys, welcome to this week's show. With me this week, I have a surprise guest. Well, I guess not surprise, he kind of announced it. We got the Masked Hippie.
I'm doing this for Neil. Just doing it for Neil.
He's the GM of Seven on the Ice here. He's new to the league this year, so it's nice to have you on the show, buddy. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun playing with you guys. You know, we always trash talk online when we're playing, so this is even better.
It's what it's all about. That's where I have the most fun, is running my mouth. But
Oh, I just don't want to lose, but running your mouth is awesome.
yeah. I like to chalk it up as it's a successful season if you make the playoffs and you don't get out eliminated in that first round.
Yep.
It's a tough league to win in. So you're doing pretty well for your first year. You inherited a pretty good team though, with those Florida boys. You started with Gibson, you moved and made some moves. You got Yari now, but those Florida boys, that's a good duo to inherit. It's probably the better roster that we've ever seen someone take
absolutely.
over.
Absolutely, they were great to start with. I'm trying to change out a little bit here and there. Some successful, no, some not so successful, but whatever.
Well, you want to put your touch on your team, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we have a big show here because I don't know if everyone realized. Some teams didn't realize for sure because they didn't do anything and they're not in a playoff position. But it was the trade deadline yesterday. We have some teams I feel missed out on the boat here. Please don't feed the goalie. So Tyler was very inactive for someone who's 7 points out of a playoff spot. Braden was very quiet. Derek is trying to try to get into the playoffs, so at least he's doing something. He's making some moves, trying to get in. Interesting trade deadline, some big moves. But we have some Week 17 results to go over. We're going to take a quick look at the standings, and we're going to talk about this week's matchups, some big matchups. And now the rosters are frozen, right? So that's going to be a big deal. When I say frozen, I mean you can't trade, but you can still make your ad drops as normal.
Yeah, I was curious about that. I asked it in chat. It was answered.
Yeah, exactly. You're new to the league, so you don't necessarily know how it all works, right? So we encourage, if you have questions, to just ask. We might ridicule you a bit because that's just what we do, but
yeah, that's fine. I do the same.
It's all in good fun, right?
Oh yeah.
All right, let's talk about last week here. First matchup there, I'm gonna swing to you here. Le Champion, Team Ramrod. Defeated, please don't feed the goalie, 13-1. I must say, Tyler didn't even get his goalie starts last week, so it was not a good week for him. Why don't you tell me what happened?
Well, you just absolutely obliterated him. 13-1, and if he didn't get his goalie starts in, he's behind the 8 ball right there, right?
I think it was 10-3 or 10-4 because he had goalie stats, and he got one start or 2 starts last week, and that's it.
Yeah. If you don't get them, like you said, goalies are so valuable in this league. It's not even worth it.
You're learning that, right? You're learning
the hard way.
It's tough coming in. I try to tell people when they're coming in, you need to really be after those goalies. Those goalies are a third of your weekly stats, right? They can make or break your week, really. But you're learning, and you're doing pretty well this year. Fighting for a playoff spot. So I'm pretty impressed. Speaking of you fighting for a playoff spot, the playoff push, defeating 7 on the ice, 8-5. What happened here, buddy?
I don't know, man. This was a hard one to take. He was ahead off the bat, and he just continued. I think I tied it up at one point, and I was hoping for the win to get that little bit more separation. Just wasn't my week.
And that happens, right? Derek has a good team. I feel if he would have paid attention most of the year, this is typical Derek. He only jumps in once football is done. He's active right at the start of the year, and then all of a sudden he's gone till after the Super Bowl. And he comes in and he's like, I'm going to buy this year. I'm 6 points out, 5 points out of a playoff spot, but I'm gonna start buying instead of selling. So he's taking a risk. we'll see if it pays off for him. But that was a big win for him, closing the gap on you, right? So
Yeah, I'm
tough
not
loss
impressed.
for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got Dan here. Get off my grass. Defeating Cherry Picking Daddy 7-6. Big close matchup here. One team in the playoffs, one team kind of in sell mode. Well, both in sell mode, but one not in the playoffs while selling. Why don't you tell me about this one?
Yeah, I'm really surprised to get off my grass there. I'm really surprised he's selling, being in the spot he's in, but he is still continuing to win, and he's racking up picks to make that great team next year as well. It was a close matchup. Cherry Picking Daddy, he's been in a lot of tight ones throughout this year that I've noticed. I don't know. It's it's so tough in this league. You get one bad week and you could be done.
Yeah, right. You lose some matches that you probably shouldn't, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, am I gonna make it now? That's what happened to Cherry. He was in some really good matchups all year, and it just didn't go his way on some of them, and kind of put him behind the 8 ball here. Jeremy Swayman didn't help when Tuukka Rask signed for a few weeks, and he dropped Swayman because it looked like he wasn't playing this year. Then Rask retires, and Neil picks him up, leaves Kyle without one of his big goalies. Dan, on the other hand, has been selling all year, but very competitive team. I'm not sure how far he can make it in a playoff run. But hey, good on him. Like, to him, it's bonus, right? He's setting himself up for the future, not as concerned for this season, right?
No, absolutely. And playoff time, one broken ankle, one shoulder injury, your team could be sunk.
Could happen to any player, right? That's the thing about fantasy. You can't control that stuff, right? So
Oh no, absolutely.
just fluky. Look at Travis's team. Travis's team was stacked at the start of the year. He starts off 0-5, 0-6 because like all his guys were injured. He had 2 guys on the same line in Vegas get a foot injury in the same game. Like, you can't write that stuff, right? So it's just a lot of it. Luck has a part to play in fantasy, right? So, thank God, the hockey gods, praise McJesus that they have Ramrod's back at least last year, and hopefully so far this
One
year.
more knee injury for him, eh?
Well, it could happen, right? And that could throw a big wrench in my bid to repeat. So I just pray to McJesus that everything turns out okay. Suck my Ojik here, Neil, taking it to Daltrey. He tried the beef. He took it to him 9-3. What you got to say about this one?
Big win for Suck My Ojik. It's too bad for Daltrey. I mean, it's good for guys like me that are chasing Daltrey, keeping them lower. So I like that part. You guys at the top, I don't mind when you guys win, as long as it's not against me, against the teams I'm chasing. I like that.
It's we're gonna see in the standings, right? Everything's so close, really. And all these teams are playing each other still. Like, we have a lot of matches against each other. So I almost think the best thing for someone like you is kind of not one team just keeps losing, like a bunch of teams just kind of keep it close, and you just kind of jump.
I mean, all the guys I'm chasing, I don't care. Like the top 4, top 5, I don't care. You guys can do whatever you want.
There's only 2-point difference though between those 2 guys. That win made the difference.
Oh no, absolutely. But I don't mind a little separation there at the end. It's okay. Just makes my victory that much better.
Now, this matchup, I'm not sad to see this. I love when Domo loses. Pat, you ready to rumble? Beat him 6-4. What a low scoring matchup, right? Like, a lot of categories were tied. So, Pat, you ready? Getting the win over a tough opponent, Domo. That's a potential first round playoff matchup right there. What do you think? I
mean, in my opinion, I don't like it. I feel bad for Domo losing. I know you don't, because you're chasing him down for first. But I was hoping he pulled it through, just for the simple fact is I'm chasing Patches. But I mean, that's a massive win for him. Massive win for him. Keeping him in the playoff spots, giving a little bit of separation for him. It gives him that cushion to lose one more.
he does have a sneaky good team, right? If his goaltending was consistent, he'd be in a lot better position. But his forwards are good, so he's gonna be fun to watch. A team that's fun to watch during the stretch here. I mean, after this week, we still have 5 weeks left, so we're on the home stretch now. It's every loss could really hurt you. What we got here, Braden. The Braden bye week was not a thing this week. I guess he decided to show up and he took it to Clefbaum 11-2. It's a big win because it puts him within striking distance to kind of surpass Kyle for the Caucasaurus here.
Yeah.
It's big big win. What do you think of this?
Man. I mean, Hockey Balboa, what can you say? He pulled out a big one here. I think seeing that trophy might have inspired him to not want it. Now, I don't know. Is there a punishment for it?
I think that's punishment enough. But
well, I know, but I mean, do you take some photos? Do you put it up on the site?
We are going to ask that some photos be sent in occasionally on the spot, make sure
you have it hiding in a box somewhere.
Originally, we wanted it to be on display at all times, but we understand that some people have kids. So as long as you can pull it out, when needed, then I think we're satisfied, and that's a big enough punishment, right? So.
Oh no, it's a great race for the bottom. I'm glad he actually won because it gives him something to shoot for as well, right? Playing for
actually put him in 15th, right? You see under his name, he's in 15th right now. We'll talk about 16th in a bit.
Yeah.
Charlie Brown's taking on the never-ending rebuild. Sean defeated Travis 9-3. What do you think of this one?
Man, another big win for the Charlie Browns. They've been tough all year. He has a great team. The never-ending rebuild does it all right there. I mean, this is my first season in the league, but from what you guys have been saying, he's been struggling to, get any traction and win. Maybe you can tell me more about his team.
Honestly, like Travis, every year he goes into the draft and he's all excited. Usually he loses 1 or 2 weeks there early on. It's week 3, and he's like, "That's it. It's a fire sale. I give up." This year we kind of made it to week 10 before he kind of blew everything up. Maybe a little later than that, but he started making moves again, like injury luck. He just has terrible luck, no patience. He made a trade last year with the guy who ran your team. He had the Florida boys in Gibson, and he traded him. He revamped his whole team. Regrets that now.
I can see why.
Charlie Brown's the opposite. He's been notoriously known to be a great regular season team. Rarely loses in the regular season. This year's kind of a off season for him. But he always chokes in the playoffs.
Well, I mean, we'll see this year, but big win for him. He's keeping it up with you guys. That playoff seeding is all important. I
mean, usually it is, but this season, every team is so close. I don't think it matters who you're playing in the playoffs as long as you make it. Right?
I don't know, man. There was some big trades by you guys to shore up your lines. We'll talk about that after, but
I definitely think there are some what I would consider favorites, but the way that how close this league is, any week, it depends who you're playing. You might just play against a line that just doesn't mesh well against yours, right? They put up everything you're not strong in.
Yep.
Last matchup last week here, big matchup, whole shaft here, ensuring Corey drops down to 16th and is the current placeholder for the Caucasaurus. What do you think here?
Corey's, I don't know, man. He's been rough all season. It started, I played him week 1 in this thing and I tied him. And I thought I was doing pretty good because he was talking a big trash game, right? I was like, oh, okay, I tied him. This is not so bad. I didn't lose. But now to see him falling like he is.
Does it diminish that tie for you?
Yeah, I know. Now I feel bad that I didn't beat him. But I mean, great win for the whole shaft. Keeps him a couple of points up on the rest of us chasing him. Uh,
It's it's such a mess. It's a log jam in those standings. Actually, let's take a look at that right now. It's the next logical step here. So, Division One here, we still have Captain Crunch here in first place, but I've caught up to him and sitting in second, 1 point behind him. He's doing well for himself, but he made some interesting moves at the deadline. I feel like his team's a little weaker now. It'd be interesting to see where he falls. But he's sitting at first. Division One there. You got Suck My Ojik here at 22 points, so 2 points behind Captain Crunch, with sitting in fourth place. So shows you how close that is. Fifth place, only 3 points behind. It's Dan, get off my grass. You got Patches sitting at 19 point. Patches ready to rumble here, holding on to the last playoff spot. And you got some teams who are just not in it, right? Cherry Picking Daddy, Clef Bomb, Please Don't Feed the Goalie, Hockey Balboa, right? So 4 teams who sold at the deadline or should have sold, 2 of which were around to do so. Another 2 who did nothing. Boggles my mind.
It absolutely amazes me when you look on the side there when it says moves and you see Domo, who's in first, have 53 moves. Like that's incredible. You think, you'd have a solid team. You wouldn't want to do as many.
So that's the thing, right? Like it's a strategy that a lot of teams use, and myself I use. I like to have that one spot where I don't mind cycling through my 3 moves for the week, right? I don't mind dropping this guy because I'm going to need a couple extra games during the week.
No, absolutely.
But a lot of his moves are trades, right? So.
But then you got a guy like Corey with 52 who's
yeah, the complete opposite, right?
Yeah, sorry, buddy.
Division 2, also very strong here. You got Le Champion, Team Ramrod, sitting at 23 points here and second overall. Right behind me by 1 point here, he has the tiebreaker over Neil. Charlie Brown's sitting with 22 points. You got the whole shaft and Daltrey here with sitting at 6 and 7 with 20 points each. And then you got to yourself, who's just in ninth, 2 points out of the playoff spot. You're still in striking distance, right? 1 good win, one bad week for Patch, and you're jumping into that spot.
Yeah, the only problem is a couple of good weeks for them, or they each get a good week. 1 bad week for me. I'm 4 points out. It's tough to make up that kind of ground.
It is, but you're not out of it, right? You got Derek, who's sitting at 14 points, who's trying to get in, right? He renames his team the playoff push, starts buying when he's way out of it right now. But if he thinks he can make up 5 points and jump 2 teams to get in, I'm not going to argue with him. But if he thinks he can do it, good for him. I like the attitude that, hey, I'm not giving up, right? So
yeah, you got to love that.
And after the playoff pusher, you got Travis hanging around with 14 points. And then bottom of the league here, Corey.
You see a twinkle in your eye talking about that.
I think you see a little separation happening here between the quality of the divisions when you really look at it now.
Oh,
absolutely.
It's
been a thing all year because I made one comment in the first show how on paper Division 2 looks stacked compared to Division 1. I haven't heard the end of it all year, so we like to bring it up every week or 2.
Well, to be fair, I mean, right now, if you went by it, there's 4 teams in each division going to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You just got 3 of the bottom 4 teams sitting in that Division 1, right? But both the whole league itself, I find is really strong, right? So it's a tough league to play in, especially we've been going at this for a while, right? So our teams are set, our strategies are down. Like, it just parity is happening in the league where everything's kind of coming to a point where everyone's so close. And honestly, it makes it exciting because every year you don't know who might miss the playoffs and who will make it, right?
Nope, absolutely.
I'm the defending champion. I won last year, but I think this year is more fun than last year. I just think with how close everything is, although last year we had a really good playoff race, it came down to like the last game of the last day of the season, and there were like 3 teams fighting for that last playoff spot.
Oh, see, that's sweet. You love
It
to see that.
was exciting. It was an exciting time, right? So I think we're going to see something similar this year, actually.
Well, when guys are out, when a few weeks to go, it doesn't make it fun, right? Because then they give up, they stop setting lineups, stuff like that. You know, it screws everybody else up.
We have a rule though, right? You have to set your lineups. And we had issues with possible tanking before, so this is the first year we implemented the draft lottery. Anyone who doesn't make the playoffs, you have a shot at that first pick next year, right? So help prevent that kind of thing from happening, right? But yeah, they're not as attentive, right? Whenever you're out, but it sucks if you're in a playoff hunt and oh man, my opponent is the guy who's chasing me is playing hockey Balboa and he's not setting his lineup. Like there's an easy win for him. That's fucking me, right?
Yep.
So we try to implement rules that'll kind of prevent that. And so far, like everyone's been kind of good about it, right? So some good sportsmanship going on. Well, let's talk about some trades, and there were a lot. We're going back to last week because this week's show's a little late. I figure why record Tuesday when the trade deadline's Wednesday when we can record Thursday after all the trades are done.
Okay.
So, first trade we're going to talk about here. Let's see here. We have the playoff push acquiring Mark Scheifele and an 18th from the never-ending rebuild here for Dave Perron and a 9th. What do you think about this trade?
I don't know, man. Scheifele this year, he doesn't seem to have it. I have him in another league, and that whole Winnipeg team, there's something wrong there.
They're so on and off.
Yeah, I don't. So I'm just trying to find it on my screen too. But yeah, what do you think there?
I think Winnipeg is such a streaky team. Their players have been streaky. Scheifele has been hot a couple times and just cooled right off. But for a 9th to get a talent like Scheifele, Dave Perron is having a rough year. He's not having a great year. I think that was a good deal for Derek for what it costs him. Like a 9th is nothing for a guy who has the potential that Scheifele has. So.
Oh no, absolutely. And if he's going to be your keeper, that's amazing. It's just looking at paper right now.
I don't think he will. It's just
that could be good.
It's for a push. Like I can get a good player for a 9th. Yeah, I'm going to pay it, right?
Yep.
Not done though. Those two, they said, "Hey, you know what? We had a good time yesterday afternoon. Let's reconnect the next morning here." Playoff push, acquiring Riley Smith and an 8th from Never Ending Rebuild here for Carey Price and a 17th. What do you think of this?
Oh man, I like it. I like it for the one side, like Carey Price on a 17th. He might never play again. He might never be the same guy again. So, I mean, there's absolutely no risk on the other side. None.
No, there's no risk for Derek. It's a gamble for Travis, and he actually just messaged me like about half hour before we started recording here. Carey Price and Montreal Canadiens have an announcement to make Friday.
Oh no, absolutely, and
so
you don't know what that is. I don't think he'll be back this year.
No, is he retiring? Like
that could be.
We just don't know. If that's the case, like if our trade deadline would have been pushed. No, this was a trade made last week, so it just could end up really bad scenario for Travis. And again, goes on with his terrible fantasy luck, right?
Yeah.
Next trade kind of involves the Champion here, Team Ramrod. So I moved Trevor Zegras and a 13th to Hockey Balboa for an 8th. So I'm going to give you some insight before I ask for your opinion here. This is what I did. I like Zegras a lot. I think he's going to be a superstar. I think he's already on his way to being a superstar. My team is full of guys who already do what he does, right? Just put up points. I was expecting him to have a breakout year, and that's why I drafted him. I thought maybe he could become my 5th keeper, but Tkachuk picked it up again this year. I couldn't justify holding on to Zegras just to waste and throw him back in. So I started shopping him around to teams who are at the bottom, who might have a good pick to send me, and who might be able to use him as a keeper. So after talking to a few teams, Braden was interested. So I think he plans on keeping him, which I think is a great piece to build around. But it got me an 8th, which I needed for trade deadline day. What do you think?
Well, it's a great trade for both of us. If Zegras pans out, then it'd be a great keeper for him, which I think he will. And you getting an 8th is, being in the position that he is, it's close to the 7th round. It's not really an 8th. You're going to get a high quality pick for next year, or unless you traded it away already, which you said you did.
I moved it.
But you flopped it for something else that you did need. So it worked out for both of you. I like the deal.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was thinking. Is like I could use him to get a piece that I can use to acquire something, a good value on deadline day when teams are just like, I just want to get rid of some stuff, right? And there's not many picks left out there, so an 8th was a good pick.
Absolutely.
Here's a trade that I was kind of surprised at. All year, Travis was saying Hart's not on the trade block. He's not available. All of a sudden, he was, and it didn't take Corey long. Corey moved he moved Ronick and 2 7s over to Travis for Carter Hart, a 14th and a 17th. What do you think of this trade?
Man, this is really tough because Carter Hart was, announced like one of the good up and coming goalies, but Philadelphia has pretty much ruined him.
They're so bad.
I don't know. Yeah, like I feel bad for the kid. And does he get traded? Does he get a fresh start? Because I don't think, he's going to do anything in Philadelphia. Like, I mean, it's a no risk. It's a no risk for Corey. He's at the bottom. He needs a good young goalie. If Carter Hart can play well, it's a great move for him.
I think it's a good move because Carter Hart, he's gonna be on a bad team, but Philly's doing a reboot and not like a rebuild, right? So they're gonna try and aggressively rebuild quick, retool. They're gonna be bad probably next year, maybe the year after, but he's a long-term investment because he's so young. And I think Corey can afford that with his goalie situation. It's not great after he moved Campbell.
No, it's a good pickup for him if Hart can come back, but that's the big if.
I think he'll play well with a better team in front of him. He's just gotta go through a couple of years of hell to get there, right? And yeah, 2 7s. I mean, probably would have. I think he had might even talk about a 6th in there, but the 2 7s was kind of the bigger deal at that point.
I mean, for the way Hart's playing, it's not a bad deal either side, right? 2 7, it's still a gamble, but I mean, at least it's a return. And he gave up on the player.
Well, he moved on from Hart because he picked up Price, right? So,
yep,
he was expendable on his team. Corey, still active, this time with you. Let's see here. Corey received Byfield and a 9th, and he flipped over a 14th and Pedersen to you. Tell me about this deal.
We've been talking about this deal actually for a while, and Pedersen is an upgrade on Byfield for points wise now. And that Byfield could be something, and I had picked him up when he was coming back, close to coming back, hoping he could be that guy I wanted. But so far, he's been shit in the bed. And pretty much as soon as Corey got him, he dropped him anyways. But, I'm trying to push into the playoffs. The picks I gave up and Byfield, I wouldn't be keeping anyways. So, I mean, it worked out for both of us. He's trying to retool for next year, and I'm still trying to push into the playoffs.
I think Pedersen has a lot of potential. He's not playing this year like he has last year, right?
2 years ago, the guy would have been a for sure keeper.
Definitely.
Now you're probably throwing him back into the mix.
But let's be real. Vancouver in itself has been a crapshoot this year. You don't know which team you're getting. So it's a little rough, but he's worth the gamble. He's definitely better than Byfield, and he improves your team, right? So, and he has that
Oh,
potential
absolutely.
to be better than Byfield this season, right? So
Yeah, maybe not long term, but that doesn't help me right now.
that's not what you're not caring about that right now, right? You have your keepers are pretty much set, you know. So he's not going to replace one of your keepers. He's just there to help you right now.
Yep.
Um, well, Saucier Pass still active here. Not the deadline yet, but he's still active. You moved Tage Thompson here and an eighth over to Domo or Captain Crunch now for Orlov and a seventh. What do you think of this deal?
Uh I mean, it works for both parties. It's one of those like, yeah, I don't know what to really tell you. I mean, both players are not the greatest players on the greatest teams. Orlov, being on Washington, he could be doing better, but he's not on first power play or anything like that.
He's
So
just a
it's one
grinder
of those.
defenseman, right?
It's just one of those. Let's just do a trade for a trade, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's only a 1 round difference, right? In pick, but I don't know. I don't think Tage is worth a seventh, but Domo was just throwing his picks around, so good on him.
Let's see what sticks.
Sose Pass comes right back again a couple days later, says, you know what, Derek, I know you're pushing for the playoffs. I'll give you a good deal on Quinn Hughes here. Give you Quinn Hughes in an 11th for Chikrin and a 10th. What do you think of this?
Well, he got another pick upgrade. I think he probably could have got a little bit more for Quinn Hughes than a 10th, like just a 1 round trade. But an upgrade's still an upgrade, and Quinn Hughes and Vancouver is not having a very good year. So I mean, pushing for
Chikrin
the play.
either. Chikrin's a great defenseman, but this year he's having a fucking shit year.
Arizona, everybody's having a crap year.
Not true. Keller's having a respectable year.
Well,
Yeah, 1 out of 20 guys on their roster is having a good year. Quinn Hughes, though, Corey's been shopping him around. He's been trying to get the best pick he can. It turns out the 10th was the best that someone wanted to pay for him. The thing about Hughes, he's very offensive. He doesn't put up a lot of the other stats. And a lot of the teams that are buying, they don't need that right now, right?
No, they need the grinding and the block shots. And
so it just wasn't as big of a market as there normally would be for a guy of his talent.
And that's one thing I really like about this league. You're not just going after points. Guys who put up, the block shots and the hits and stuff like that are really valuable in here. It's not just the guys at the top of the standings.
You can't just look at the scoring race, right? You gotta, man, like, okay, this forward puts up a little less points, but man, he throws some hits, it's worth it. Another deal with you here. This one, no picks involved. Good old hockey trade. You sent Kuznetsov over to Domo, Captain Crunch, for Vejmelka. Why don't you tell me about this?
I've been trying to get another goalie to maybe keep, for my keepers next year. I'm not sure. Like, I have 4 set that I'm going to keep. I wanted to try to get another one. Kuznetsov, I don't know, man. Being a Penguins fan, I hate the Capitals. I kind of just hate him. I've been trying to get rid of him for a while. So, I mean, I think it helps both of us. It helps. Kuznetsov will put up a lot of points. That'll help him. And I'm hoping that the Arizona goalie, can get traded to a decent contender and become a stud for me for years to come.
They're not going to trade him. I'm telling you now. They have him as a restricted free agent after this year, so he has a couple years of control left. But he puts up good numbers for playing on a terrible team. That's the mystery of Arizona. The mystery of Arizona, the only player that ever plays good is their goalie. No one else is ever good in Arizona, but the goalie keeps them in things. I like to pick up for you because you're getting a goalie for a player straight up. Yeah, it's a goalie on a bad team, but it's a goalie who's going to get you saves and save percentage, right? He might not get you wins, but he'll get you other stats.
Oh, absolutely.
Here we go. This is the official first trade that happened on trade deadline day. You know, Neil getting the ball rolling. Picking up Boone Jenner and a 17th with Kyle from Cherry Pickin' Daddy here for a Marchessault and a 12th. So it's really got the ball rolling here. I want you to tell me about this one.
I like it for both sides. You know, good pick upgrade for them. And they're both decent players. You know, they both bring a little bit different to the table. Marchessault is more of a scorer. You know, Jenner, I find, is more of a grindy type player. I don't know his whole stats this season. I haven't really looked into him, but
he's actually scoring some goals this year, which is impressive because last year he didn't do that for me. But
you're a little bitter.
I had him for his blocks because he puts up some hits and blocks. Right, he's a forward who plays the PK and does it well and gets his body in the way. So I think that's what Neil's goal was. Right, it was just kind of get someone with an even stat line, more balanced than Marchessault. Right, so I think it's a good move for Neil. Doesn't hurt Kyle at all. You got a 5-round pickup grade. So
no, absolutely.
Next trade here, Saucier Pass, of course, Mr. Busy. Picks up Jonas Brode, Nick Holden, and a 10th in exchange for Matt Roy, Dmitry Orlov, who we just picked up a couple days ago, and an 11th. That went to Dan. What do you think of this move?
I think Sauce at this point is just looking to upgrade no matter what. You know, one spot up for him is just one spot up. And this is just one of those trade for a trade to try to shake things up. You know,
you got to do that. You're selling. You got to do that. You just got to sell everything that you're not keeping, right? You don't care. Give me an upgrade, especially on deadline day. This is the last chance you get. I don't care what it is. Give me that. Give me that.
Oh yeah, that could be the difference. You know, of a guy that's going to put up 20 points to a guy that's going to put up 5 points. I know.
No, it's good. Good move on Corey just to get a pickup grade. Neil busy again. Some unlikely partners here. I mean, I question a lot of things that Domo did over the last couple of days. So we made some interesting moves here, and then all of a sudden, Neil comes calling, and he trades Tara Vinen and a 13th to Neil for Lozon, Francouz, and an 8th. So almost like he's in sell mode here. Maybe he knows something we don't. But what do you think of this deal?
A guy who's at the top of the standings trading for an 8th round pick. I don't get it unless you know, like he's an insider and he knows that Teravain's going to be out for a while or something. But you think this deal would be going the opposite way. I don't quite understand this one. But I mean, he's first and I'm 9th, so he's doing something right and I'm not. So I'm not going to question it.
It's going to be interesting to see what Domo does the rest of the season because he's been known to just keep cycling through his players, using his picks. He's accumulated a lot of good picks for next year. So I don't know if that's his plan, just have a really good draft next year. And who cares about this year? Or maybe thinks he could be competitive. I felt like after deadline day, his team got weaker. That's my opinion.
Maybe after picking up Kunessa for me, you thought Teravainen was expendable.
Maybe. Next deal we had here, Charlie Browns went shopping. Picked up Ryan Hartman at an 11th here. He moved Giroux in a 9th over to Cherry Pickin' Daddy. What do you think of this move?
I'm not quite sure on this one. Giving up Giroux, I think, who's the better player at this point, and a 9th for Hartman and 11th. I don't know. This is one of those, like, I just don't understand it myself.
I will say this about Hartman. Hartman does grind harder, and he has a lot more PIMs and hits. So he's a more balanced player. But man, it was tempting. I almost inquired about Giroux. He's getting traded this year.
Oh yeah, he's moving at the deadline. If he goes to a contender and gets re-energized,
he's gonna be gold.
Yeah.
He waived his no trade clause to 3 teams. Those teams: Avalanche, Wild, Blues. Like, if he goes to one of those teams, like his fantasy value just goes right up. I think it might be a good piece for Kyle to think about keeping this year. just because he's going to be a free agent to sign wherever he wants, right, this summer.
Yep, absolutely.
But Hartman's probably good though for this run for Sean because of all the grind he puts up. So I get the move. Just I probably would have moved someone else.
I don't get the picks though. Maybe
Well,
just player
it's a
for player.
small move in picks for Kyle to an upgrade.
Oh, I understand why he did it. I just
You got to shop, right? You gotta try and upgrade on that deadline day. Speaking of
sometimes you
shopping,
gotta give it up. Yeah.
this next trade involves me and that 8th I acquired. I've been shopping that 8th since I picked it up. I've been asking who wants it, right? And no one came knocking really. A few teams inquired, but they didn't have anything that I needed, right? That I would consider an upgrade. It was all quiet. And it's around noon or so yesterday, and then we got talking. And Forsberg was on the table. I thought that was a good player to look into, right? He puts up little hits, puts up a lot of goals. But while we were still in initial talking, I had messaged when Domo said, "Hey, inquire who's available." I inquired about Letang, and he shut me down. Said, "No, he's not available." And I came back and said, "Well, what if I gave you an 8th and I take your last pick?" He said, "Well, it's tempting, but I shouldn't do it. Like, what if I gave you 2 picks?" And he didn't answer, and we were still talking. You made me a trade I thought was pretty good trade. We had some minor details to work out. Then all of a sudden, Travis, who sits beside me at work, for the last few days, he's been telling me, "No, Trocheck's not available. Trocheck's not available." Then he comes in, struts in, and he's like, "So, what's the deal on Trocheck?" Like, well, Trocheck's on the table now. So we were talking about it, and I could have had Trocheck for 8th and a 14th, I want to say, for 2 18s or 2 17s. Our deal was similar. It was 8th and a 15th, or 8th and a 14th for 15th and a 17th for Forsberg, right? But then I had this deal on the table too. I had all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I had 3 great deals on the line, and I had to make a choice. And I felt Letang was the better deal for 2 reasons. One, he puts up blocks and hits, unlike the forwards, right? He puts up big number power play points. He plays on a good power play with Crosby, right? And 2, it takes a weapon away from one of my opponents. That was a big factor in my decision. Is that not only am I getting better, one of my possible playoff opponents is getting weaker. So that gives you maybe some insight on why I didn't go with our trade that we were talking about. But essentially, Letang and 2 18s to me for Slavin, an 8th and an 11th. I didn't like paying the 11th with it, but when you have a guy on the line here, you can't dick around about little details, right? What do you think of the trade as a Penguins fan?
As a Penguins fan, I love Letang. He does everything you say and a little bit more. I mean, I'm kind of glad
season this year. Phenomenal.
I'm kind of glad you're not taking Forsberg because there's big rumors he's going to St. Louis, and I think that'll real. Oh
he's
yeah,
testing. He's testing the waters there this year, in free agent. So they're going to look at trading him, right?
Yep. So there's big talk about that, but I mean, like you said, giving up in an 8th and 11th, and that it kind of cripples you for next year's draft. But you know what? With the keepers you have, you start off with that good balance, anyways.
Let me tell you something about my draft.
You have to be. I know you get drunk, pick whoever, and then have to trade the first day to get the players that you should have got.
My draft looks like this every year. I drafted the 13th round later. This is normal. Having an 11th and an 8th would have been weird for me after the trade deadline. So
you don't know what to do with them, anyways. It's okay.
That's it. I just wheel and deal. Like I'll make some executive decisions when I'm sober, and here we go. Right?
I like the move. I like the move.
I think I was happy that you kept Forsberg. I really think you should consider him as a possible keeper. You don't have to choose right until season starts next year. So wait to see where he goes in free agency. But he has that potential. Like if he goes to the right team, he could be a beast out there.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. If he doesn't chase the money and he goes after a good team,
You can chase the money, go after a good team, right? Some teams will pay him good money, and it'll just make them better.
unless
But
he goes to Arizona.
well, no one's going to Arizona, no matter how much money they're paying. You want to go play in front of 5,000 fans? But
Some
fucking
people do.
university deal here, like anyway, never ending rebuild. At it again. Good on him, right? He got a pick upgrade, a couple of rounds. He sent Trocheck after I made the Letang deal. He pulled the trigger on Trocheck, moving Trocheck in a 9th over to Domo for Tage Thompson and a 7th. What do you think of this?
It's great for both parties. Domo gets a little bit stronger there, and the other guy gets 2-spot pick upgrade for next season. That works for everybody.
I saw him today, and he said he has 9 picks in the first 2 rounds, right? So kind of like his draft this year. He went to this year's draft with like 4 or 5, like 6 rounders. He was expected to be a powerhouse, and shit just happened.
Well, injuries and depending how the season goes. Oof.
Yeah, it was just rough for him.
Nobody saw the Canadians being this bad this year after making the Stanley Cup final last year.
I didn't think they'd be as good as they were last year, but I didn't think they'd be this bad.
Absolutely.
I didn't think they'd be Coyotes bad.
Well, that whole Canadian division was kind of weak last year.
Yeah.
It was easy to get out of it.
Well, it shouldn't have been, though. Toronto should have been able to stop some teams, right? So
they don't have a defense.
No, they don't. They got rid of their goalie. And guess what? He's happier in Carolina.
Yeah.
But Campbell's been good, right? Campbell's generally been good for them. So
Oh no, he's a decent goalie for sure.
now yesterday, I got home from work and I'm sitting there and I see Nick walking by and I'm just like, hey, you quiet there on trade deadline day. He's like, it's quiet out there. Next thing I know, bam, back-to-back trades with Nick involved here. Whole shaft getting in on the fun. Moving Berube and a 9th over to Cherry Pickin' Daddy for Riley at an 18th. I think it's a good pickup for him. Big upgrade on his defense, who put up some offensive numbers. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. It's a great deal for both teams. If you weren't going to keep Morgan Riley, he's a stud in Toronto. He's always on their top power play with those boys, and they will score. He plays a well-rounded game.
Yeah. No, I like him. I wish
like
he would grind a little more, but
that's just not his style.
Nick deciding his defense still isn't good enough. Follows that up. This move shocked me. Kyle has been going on for weeks and weeks about how Dougie Hamilton is one of his keepers. He's untouchable. Then he moves him and Lawson Krause with a 13th and a 15th for Cernak, Wedgwood, and 2 11s. This is a guy who was potentially his keeper, that he's been bragging about being his keeper, and he moved him in a deal for 2 11s. I think that's a great price to pay for Nick. I just don't understand it from Kyle's side after saying that he's one of his keepers. What do you think?
Yeah, I know Nick got a great deal here. Dougie Hamilton can be a star. He is a star. He's a great player. And to give up the minimal that he did, like, you can just throw out the other players. It's basically Hamilton for a couple of pick upgrades here.
Now, you say that opinion. Krause is a great grinder. Go look at his stats. He hits and pims.
I'll take your word on it. That's maybe why I'm struggling a bit this year.
He's probably getting traded. There's a lot of teams interested in him.
And you need that third and fourth line depth.
Yeah, I think this is a steal for Nick. I was shocked when it came through. That was a great trade for Nick. Great GMing. And he hooked up with the GM that he's often said that he doesn't respect his team. So,
shots fired.
He said it right on this show. It's not hidden.
Yeah,
No,
but
in
you're
all
opening up
seriousness,
gold.
though, it was a great trade. I just don't
Oh no,
understand it
absolutely.
from Kyle's side, based on the fact that he was going on about Hamilton being a keeper. So
Maybe he was just
please,
trying to drive. Maybe he was trying to drive the price up. You never know.
and then he got
Didn't
an
get what
11th
didn't
for
get
him.
what he wanted. No, he didn't get what he wanted. He took the best he could get for him.
Kyle, please enlighten me after and tell me, explain to me your logic here. I'm not saying it's a bad trade or anything. I want to know his thought process after saying that he was a keeper, right? So
No, you're saying it's a bad trade. Don't sugarcoat it.
I'm saying it's a good trade for Nick.
Oh no, absolutely.
But honestly, I don't think I was in the mindset that he shouldn't have been keeping Hamilton anyway. I just want to know what changed that made him say, "Hey, I'm gonna make this move now," right? Domo again. Here we go, picking up a 7th, and Fogel moving Huso and a 12 over to Patre to Rumble. So again, Domo and his goalie carousel. I don't know if there's a goalie had more than 2 or 3 weeks at all at some point in the last 3 years, but yeah, again, acting like a seller here. What do you think?
Yeah, another one. I can't wrap my head around it. Giving away another 7th rounder, or I mean, picking up. Well, I get picking up the 7th, but I don't know. Maybe he knows something else. Like, is Huso going to be the starter in St. Louis?
No,
I don't know. Binghamton's been really bad.
I think he'll fight for ice time, right? He'll get some ice time, but I think it's a good price for Pacioretty. A 7th is not much to give up for a guy who might get 50-50. I don't
Well, no, that's
understand
what I
it
mean. That's
for
absolutely.
I don't understand for Domo, right? But again, I don't understand why he moved Tara Vinen. I mean, even Letang, I don't understand why. And I was the benefactor there, but I don't understand why he did it.
Maybe he's trying to give us all a chance.
Hey, I love moves that just make his team worse, right? There's nothing I would love more than to defeat him in the playoffs again.
You better hope you don't lose to him. You'll have to eat your words.
I beat him in the finals last year. I beat him in the regular season last year. I beat him in the regular season this year. I seem to have Domo's number. There's other teams though that they get me, but this is one of those teams that I seem to have somewhat of an advantage on. So you weren't here last year, but we played in the finals, Domo and I, and it was close. He had me on the ropes. And then in the last day, Stevenson gets me a shorthanded game-winning goal while his guy Stone was sitting in the box for 2 minutes. So there's a little history here, right? I like the pokes of jabs, but that was all part of the Team Ramrod victory tour. Again, guys, shirts are still available if you want one. I'm hoping to get early access here on this year's shirts, but I don't want to get too mouthy because when I start to get mouthy, I start to lose. So.
No, I love it. I love it.
Never-ending rebuild here. Still rebuilding. I don't think it'll end anytime soon, but we'll see if it's false advertising. He moved Nikushkin and a 10th over to get off my grass here for Besser and an 11th. What do you think of this?
I mean, I'm not too sure about this one because, well, Nushkin's on Colorado. They're a high-scoring team. They get a lot of goals. They get a lot of points. For a 10th or an 11th, I mean, it's whatever. It's two decent players. Brock Besser's a great player himself. Vancouver's having a crappy year, but he's a great player himself. So it's two good players and a minimal switch in picks. So it's just shaking it up.
I feel like it's a wash. The trade just
it's like a change of scenery kind of thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it can do better for you.
For Dan, really just got like a one round upgrade. Not that it cost Travis a lot, right? Like it means nothing that trade to me.
No, absolutely.
And then they reconnect right away for another trade. The last trade of the deadline here. Burakovsky and Hammond go to Travis. for Peak and Holtby. So from my understanding, it was kind of all supposed to be one trade, but they messed up and they just did it in 2 trades. So to me, again, kind of a wash still. I don't know.
I mean, Holtby's name's been linked out there. And as you know, I'm a big Penguins fan. They've been looking into getting him to back up Jari in case he falters. I mean, that could be really good. But like you said,
I saw they're in on Fleury too, right? So
yeah,
bring
but
back
he's
the Flower.
expensive. He's expensive and has a couple more years to go. Where I think Holtby's a free agent at the end of the season.
Oh, Fleury's a free agent this year.
Is he really? I thought it was another year after this.
No, this is the last year of his contract, I believe. And he said he would come to play it no matter what, and then decide on his future. But I don't think he's done anytime soon. I think he just wants to choose where he plays. So a lot of good trades, a lot of activity. It was weird to see a lot of deals being made between a couple contenders, right? Domo up to some weird stuff here, but whatever.
Yeah, you never really know about a guy at the top of the league trying to sell off some of his players for picks. It always worries you. Yeah, it does.
But he has a plan, and as much as I don't understand it, I can't question it. He's winning. He won a lot last year, making it all the way to the finals. He knows what he's doing, so I'll trust that his plan will work out for him until he runs into Le Champion.
He's kicking my ass, so I can't say much.
So let's get into the final run here of the show. Let's talk about this week's matchups. Some good matchups this week, some big playoff implications here. Let's start off with the first matchup here. The Champion Team Ramrod taking on the leader of the Caucasaurus here, Saucier Pass. It's not looking too good for Saucier Pass right now, but what do you think? What do you think the outcome of this one's going to be?
Well, I think they're going to take him no matter what. I mean, it's like a David versus Goliath scenario. But poor David's going down for the camp. He just really wants that trophy. I think he did whatever he could to get it at his house.
Yeah, I'm sure that's why he did it.
I mean, the poor guy has 3 kids. I mean, his wife might need something. I don't know.
Well, I agree. I think Ramrod's going to take it. This week is not really a big matchup for me. It should be an easy win. Should be. You know, I'm a buyer against a seller. Next week I also have a seller, and then I have a stretch of hell here. So I'll take these easier weeks while I have them.
Yeah, set yourself up even for the hard weeks. If you lose, you lose.
Just if I lose, then I'm not falling out of it, right? So
yep.
Playoff push, big matchup for him. Currently sitting in 10th place. Currently beating Pacioretty to Rumble here, 7-6. Patch is sitting in 8th. So this is a big matchup, and I'm sure one that you're paying attention to. Who you got here?
I honestly forget who I picked. It's pretty damn close. I think I picked Pacioretty. I think
you already sent yours in, eh?
Yes, yeah. I sent mine in. I think I picked Pacioretty. I think he will pull it out. I mean, it's tough because I don't want the playoff push to pass me, but I don't want Pacioretty to get too far ahead of me. You know, this is a tough one, and I don't even want to split because then they both gain a point. Maybe I should hope they end in a tie. I don't know. What do you got there?
It might be best for you.
Yep.
I think both teams are good. The only thing I don't like about Nick's team is his goaltending is sketchy. And it's not that they're bad goalies; they're just young goalies on teams who just aren't there yet. So you don't know which Columbus is coming out that night. You don't know which Detroit's coming out. Are they going to be competitive? It's such a crapshoot, right? I mean, Derek's goaltending is a little more stable with Leonard and Talbot, and I forget who else he picked up. He picked up backup along the way, I think. So I just played Derek a couple weeks ago. I like his team's grind. I'm gonna go with Derek. Do I think he'll make the playoffs? Probably not. Do I think this week's winnable for him? Yeah, I think he can. I think he can win this week. And just so you know, Nick, I know you're watching. That's not a knock on your team. I still think your team's good too. I think you have the potential to be a really a dark horse team in the playoffs that could go far with the right matchups. So I just think Derek might be better than your team this week. Cherry picking daddy getting a break this week, going to his Braden bye week. Currently winning 7-4. Who do you got this week?
I'm taking cherry picking daddy because I think Hockey Balboa wants to keep it tight with Sauce. Doesn't want to leave him in the dust.
They want to share it.
Yeah, I think they want to share. They probably could. Get a replica made. Yeah, cherry picking daddy, but it's a battle for the bottom, I guess.
I'm in agreement. I think Kyle's team is better than the standings would. Well, was better than the standings would show. Right, he started selling a couple weeks ago. Some rough losses. I still think his team is better than Braden. So I think Kyle will pull it through. Here's a big matchup. 6th and 7th, they are tied right now, like in standings. You got the whole shaft taking it to Daltrey, 10-2 right now. Who you got here?
I'm pretty sure I picked the whole shaft. And like you said, it's a big matchup.
I think you picked beef.
Did I really?
I think so.
Either way. I mean, it's a tough matchup. 7-6. They got identical records. Shaft holds the tiebreaker there. But I mean, there's still, quite a bit of games for the week for him to come back. I'm chasing both of these guys down. They're just that little bit ahead of me. This could be huge for either one of them. Whoever wins this week, they're clear into that 6th spot, and the other guy drops down to getting chased a little bit harder.
Now, I don't like to give Nick credit, but I'm going to pick him again. I think his team's better than Daltrey's. A lot because Nick's just more focused on it right now. Daltrey seems to be a little absent in his management right now. Trade deadline, he was crickets. You have picks, move them, get some players, improve your team.
Maybe he got some good bud.
Yeah, he did. He got it. I know where he got it too. But
see, that's the problem.
But no, I think Nick's team's just going to take it to him this week. I think it'll be closer than the score shows right now, but I think Nick will come out in the end as the winner. Speaking of taking it to them, Domo, Captain Crunch, taking it to Tyler right now. Please don't feed the goalie. 9-1. Do I even have to ask, who do you have here?
No, I picked the captain, even though he did some questionable trades there. Please don't feed the goalie is getting fed. 11-1. That's a huge beating. Nothing seems to be going right for him. I guess he wants to be part of that Caucasaurus too.
I'm going to go with Domo. I must say, I just don't understand Tyler as a GM right now. Like, he seems to be absent. You see he made 3 moves all year. He's never in the chat. Like, people are sending him trades. He's not really checking them. I messaged him the day before the trade deadline on PSN because it's online. Told him, hey, it's the trade deadline tomorrow, right? A guy in his position probably wants to sell or should sell some players. Say, okay, cool. And then did nothing, no moves. Like, I don't understand like the inactivity. Like, you could have put yourself in a better position for next year's draft, right? Move some of those players. Now you're just holding on to those players for what? What's that doing for you? I just don't understand his position right now. So he just seems to be an absent GM right now.
Yeah, you hate to see that, but I mean, maybe personal things and other things get in the way.
Yeah,
but, I mean, you hope it's nothing. Maybe he's just not having a good time in the league. You don't know.
It's the second year. Last year was his first year, and he was kind of the same, right? A little more active in some trades, but this year it just seems to it's taken a back seat. Like he just, oh. But next matchup we got Suck My Ojik here. Fourth versus fifth. Very close. I think they're a point apart. Taking on Get Off My Grass here. Right now, Neil's winning 9-3. Who do you think's gonna come out on top?
Man, I don't even remember. Well, right now it looks like Suck My Ojik, but I mean fourth versus fifth. I mean, this is just for positioning for playoffs at this point. You know,
Well,
that's all that. I mean, they could fall out with a couple of bad weeks in a row, but it's highly unlikely.
they have tough schedules, and it could happen, right? It's unlikely, but
It's unlikely. I mean, the loser gets shot down that little bit much, but I don't know. Right now, I just see it as seeding. You know, they're probably going to end up playing each other in the playoffs anyways, if things fall the way it falls. So,
yeah. Well, so who you said? You said Neil?
yeah, I think so. I don't
Yeah.
remember though. You already have my picks, so when you look at the scores after you've already made your picks, you know, you start to rethink things.
I usually go based on who I would have picked anyway. And sometimes
See, I
it's
don't
tough, right? Because you're like, I could change it, but no. I was going to pick Neil. As much as I hate to pick him, he knows this. We had a good joke about that yesterday. He's like, you know, I saw your team getting better. I have to get my team better. He's like, you're kind of my nemesis. So, you know, like we respect each other's teams and each other as GM, but we want to see each other kind of falter here and there. You know, just the relationship we have, and I respect his team. I think he's going to take it to Dan. I just think Dan's team kind of didn't get better. Well, Neil's did get a little better, so Neil already had a really strong team. I think it should finish in Neil's favor. This one, whoo, talk about mediocrity. We got Never Ending Rebuild, currently tied at 5 with Clef Bomb. Who you got here?
I'm pretty sure I picked Clef Bomb, but I mean, I can't really say anything too bad. Like, yeah, he's in 11th, but he's only a couple of points behind us. You know, if he does lose, if the Never Ending Rebuild does lose, that's pretty much his season. I'd have to say, if he wins, he's right there. But as his name suggests, I think he's trying to tank and not make the playoffs.
I don't think he's trying to tank. It's just,
well, you know what I mean. He's kind of given up.
He doesn't like his odds, so he made the decision to sell, right?
Yeah, he doesn't think he can beat the big boys, so making the playoffs is not a priority to him.
I'm going to go with the Never Ending Rebuild because as bad as his team is, Kyle's team is just as bad. This could go either way. It really could go either way, but I'm going to give Travis the edge. This is a big matchup, obviously for you, but it's a big matchup, right? Because you're not too far behind the playoff spot. You're not too far behind Charlie Brown's either, like maybe 5 points, right? So this is a chance to make up some ground. You're currently winning 6-4, but you're taking on Charlie Brown's, who's notoriously a good regular season fantasy GM. Who you got here?
Well, I think I've picked myself every friggin' week, whether I win, lose, or draw, right?
I like that philosophy. If you don't think you're going to win, then who else is going to think you're going to win?
Oh, yeah, you got to believe in yourself. Right now, I'm winning. I need these 2 points. For him, I'm sure he'd love to have them, but in the big picture, I don't think it hurts him that much. Yeah, no, I need this win. I need it. If I don't get it, I'm pretty much cooked, I think. There's still a chance, an outside chance, but that just drops me that many more points behind.
It hurts you. This is a must win for you, I think.
Absolutely. As close to one as you can get.
I think I would have said at the start of the week, Charlie Brown's is having it. So, and it's not a knock on your team. I like your team. I like those Florida boys, right? They just come out and score. It's just, I play the odds, and historically, Charlie Brown's is a regular season team. He owns me in the regular season. We have a rematch coming up though, Sean. So I imagine we're going to make our usual bet, but we'll talk about that closer to the time. But
what's really hard though too in this league is, especially in these COVID times, right, with games being postponed and rescheduled, and that, I mean, your team can end up with one game, and the other team can end up with like 4 or 5, in that week. It's been so crazy. I think
COVID's been a challenge, right? It's been a challenge because last minute your player could just be all of a sudden on the COVID list and he's not playing. You're like, what the fuck? Where's my notice? Yeah, it's been a challenge for fantasy, right? Among other things, but we do what we can. We still have a good time.
Oh no, absolutely. But I mean, like for yourself, you have like McDavid and stuff like that, right? With the Canadian teams, he scores a lot, but you might have only had him for one game. Your opponent has a guy that's playing 3 or 4 times that week, puts up more points than him. It kind of,
but it'll balance. I'll get those games back. I'll get those games back eventually.
Yeah, but even I think it was last week, you had a ton of games for Edmonton when you didn't really need them.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly what happened in the playoffs last year. Sean ran into Cherry Pickin' Daddy first round, and all Kyle's COVID games were being made up. And he just had like 15 more man games than him and just took him down. Eighth place upset over first.
Yeah, can happen at any time.
Well, that's what it is, right? It's just all those man games, they add up. They make a difference. You might not think it, right? Okay, they're not scoring points, but they're getting a couple shots, they're getting a hit, they're getting, right? So it can happen. Man games, important to watch those COVID reschedule games, right? So
maybe that's what Domo's afraid of.
Oh, I think Domo's afraid of Ramrod again because he just can't the hump he can't get over. So much that he's like, here, just take Chris Letang off my hands.
Yeah, I don't get that one. Why help your enemy?
I didn't understand it. He even told me, he's like, I might lose my season by doing this, but let's do it. I think he's addicted to trades.
That's possible. Could be a sickness.
He just wants to make deals. Like, let's go, yeah. But hey, I'll do that anytime.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, it's a big week this week. A lot can go right, and a lot can go wrong for certain teams. So it'll be interesting to watch. It's gonna be a great playoff race. 5 more weeks left after this. Down the stretch, I'm hoping it's gonna be a tight race, just like last year. It's just more fun when more people are involved, right? And putting up a fight. I like this. I like a league where everyone's enjoying themselves and having fun. Some GMs who don't seem to be as present, I wonder if they have a good time. Like, preferably we have a league full of GMs who are just enjoying themselves, very active. Maybe we'll get there one day. Maybe these GMs just having, like you said, a rough year, and maybe next year they'll kick it in to high gear here and be contenders. But I'd like to thank you, Mark, for joining me.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It was a pleasure. It's nice putting a face to the name that I've been schooling at Chell for a long time.
I just hope I didn't disappoint Corey too much. I
can never disappoint Corey.
I can't show my face to Neil though. Otherwise, I would have did this without this. But he wanted to see it, so I can't do it. Maybe next time.
That's okay. I always like to private Neil of what he wants. So
absolutely.
That's the trophy. You're not getting it again, Neil. I want to be the first 2-time champion. But yeah, I appreciate you joining us. It was nice meeting a new face. I'm glad that you joined the league and you're having a good time with it. Just a solid group of guys, right? That we just like to rag on each other and talk hockey. So
absolutely. Hope nobody takes anything I say seriously.
I never take anything you say seriously, especially trades you send me.
So, except for the LAN cable.
Oh,
that's a different story.
That's a whole different thing. Like, but again, thank you for joining, guys. Good luck this week. I'll see some of you in the playoffs. Maybe. Have a good week, guys. Good luck.